What's up, fellow collectors? Welcome back to the M.I.B. Master Toy Museum. I'll be your curator today. Guys, I have a really cool one for you today. Really cool show for you. This is the reason that we collect. This is the reason why we became collectors. This is the reason why we fell in love with the hobby of collecting action figures or comic books or coins or whatever. It was walking into a store for the very first time and finding a figure or an action figure or a comic book that you immediately connected with. Wherever that was, a toy convention, a dollar store, Woolworths, Kitty City, Children's Palace, Zayre's, Sears, wherever toys and collectibles were available. You remember that feeling that you got for the first time? There was a figure that you've been looking for and looking for and looking for. You hadn't been able to find it. And then one day you walk into a Walmart and you see that figure sitting there on a toy shelf in a toy aisle, waiting for you. Like it's been waiting for you all this time. Just for you, not for anyone else, just for you. That's the connection that we have. That's the excitement that we have in the pit of our stomach of seeing that figure, hoping that nobody can get to that figure before you can. And these are some of the figures that I found, as we collectors call it, in the wild. That would bring that childhood excitement feeling in my pit of my stomach back, knowing that I've just found a hidden treasure, knowing that I just found a holy grail, so to speak. One of those type of moments. And these are some of the figures that I have, which might not look like much to the regular hobbyist or collector or somebody that just knows about toys. It's okay, it's a big deal. But these toys have, as I'm sure some of your collectibles in your collections, have a certain meaning, have a certain more intense connection with you than other figures in your collection. It's one thing to expect a toy to be on a toy website to get it. It's quite another to have been looking for it and looking for it and looking for it and searching for it, and you finally cross paths with it. And that's what this video is all about. The hidden treasures. The great pickups, the great finds at toy stores, at thrift shops, at toy and game exchanges. That's what this is all about. This is why I enjoy collecting so much. This is why I enjoy the hobby so much. This is why it's so important to me to continue doing videos like this for you guys, because the connection with you guys and the connection with this hobby of collecting what I love to collect, which is action figures. It's too powerful. It's absolutely too powerful to give up on. And I'm going to share some of these toys with you today. They all have a story, a small story behind them. But I want to share a few of these stories about a few of these action figures. And we can start with my G.I. Joe Double Duty 12-inch action figure. This is G.I. Joe right around the turn of the century, 2001, around 2001. This was a deluxe set. G.I. Joe was trying different things at the time, and none of them seemed to be working because they were trying to get the younger demographic, and by this time video games had taken over, and the action figure was definitely not catching on with the younger demographic. We collectors love the fact that Hasbro was putting out silly and kind of childish, figure sets like this, which now has, even for me then, had a lot of charm. This figure set was designed to be very interactive for the younger demographic, for the kids. I mean, as you can see, it's got the Nerf rocket things here, styrofoam rockets that actually launched. Very safe, as you can see. This figure came with a ton of equipment, and the whole theme behind this figure was that he could go double duty. I mean, you could switch him out, flip his clothes around, and have him complete multiple missions all at once. Double the missions. Gear up G.I. Joe for double duty. And the story with that figure is, I heard a little bit about it, hadn't seen it in stores, and one day on a trip to Walmart to do some shopping, some grocery shopping, and some other things back in 2001, I always check the aisles for new G.I. Joes, and not expecting to see this figure. There were about 2 or 3 of them. I should have bought multiples, but I only bought one. I didn't have enough money back then to buy multiples. But I remember how I felt. I felt like a kid again. It's so excited to see this figure sitting there on a toy store shelf. Guys, what are some of your favorite moments? What are some of your favorite finds in the store? How did you feel? We want to hear all of that, guys. This is the fun part. This is the show and tell, guys, in a sense. We want to hear all those awesome stories, guys. This is what feeds our imagination. This is what feeds our creativity and our drive to collect and add to our collections. But that was a really cool story about my G.I. Joe Double Duty. And he's been in our museum collection ever since 2001. Mint in box. That box is very heavy, by the way, too. Then we come to my adventure team. 2001 was a great year. This was also a beautiful find at Walmart. Going to Walmart, hadn't found this. I was tracking this figure in my G.I. Joe Club newsletter. And for whatever reason, I don't know if they didn't make a lot of this guy, or my particular region just wasn't getting him, or I wasn't looking at enough Walmarts. But the 2 Walmarts that was closest to me at the time just wasn't carrying him. And one particular day, I was going on a trip up to Walmart, and this guy was staring at me in the toy aisle, sitting on a toy store shelf. My G.I. Joe Adventure Team, Secret of the Mummy's Tomb. I can't tell you how excited and how thrilled I was. The emotions that ran through me to see this figure that I have been chasing and dreaming about for a few months at that time, and to know that I was actually gonna have it. They had another one, but the box was severely damaged. So this is the figure that I went with. They had a blonde flocked hair adventurer, G.I. Joe adventurer, but his box was too badly damaged. Couldn't do it. So this is the one I went with because the box was in fantastic condition. And he is mint in box. Fantastic find. Another cool one. I was at the M.I.B meet, and the gentleman, his name eludes me. I want to say it's Lonnie Fisher. I could be wrong. But this gentleman had a table of different collectibles. And this Buck Rogers, I had been tracking for a while. I'm a huge Buck Rogers fan. Buck Rogers fan. And I heard that Zyka Toys came out with the Buck Rogers in the 25th century action figures. And I wanted this figure so desperately, but I could never find one in mint and box condition, where the box was perfectly sealed. The box was in fantastic condition. The contents inside were beautiful, and I could never find it. And going to the M.I.B meet in 2019, just recently in Columbus, Ohio, this past June, I saw the Buck Rogers and the Tiger Man, which I do have as well, sitting right on the table. And I didn't wait or anything. I asked the gentleman how much. He gave me a great price on it. But the emotions and the excitement feeling in the pit of my stomach was there again. Like coming down on Christmas Day and seeing that toy that you always dreamt of wanting, not thinking you were going to get, and your parents didn't, and your parents intentionally did not wrap it because they know that's the one you really been looking for, and you had no idea that they were going to get it for you. And seeing it, that's how I felt when I saw this figure. That's the beauty of being a collector, making that connection with a figure that you just didn't think you were going to get. And that's what I think about when I see my Buck Rogers. My M.I.B Wave 1 Dracula. This figure was the toughest to find in Target stores. Everybody knows that. It was just so difficult finding this guy. Absolutely difficult finding him. I went into a Target one day. I did a video on location, one of my first few on location videos. You can still check that out too. When I will later find a few more, but to find this one for the first time, I was going through all of the M.I.B.Os that the Target had on the pegs, and I found this one. And they had a bunch of Action Jacksons, and he was snuck somewhere right in between the Action Jackson. I almost flipped right past him. And I stopped and I looked at the hang tag there. I said, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm jumping up and down. My wife thinks I'm crazy. I thought I lost my mind. And I'm sure customers are walking by thinking I'm crazy. I couldn't tell you how excited I was that I actually found a Bela Lugosi Wave 1 Dracula, Amigo Dracula, 8-inch action figure in the wild at a Target. My very first one was purchased off of eBay. And guys, trust me, I paid a lot for him. So to find this guy, which was so hard, to find this Bela Lugosi Dracula in the wild was absolutely fantastic. Guys, we're just hanging out here in our museum. That's what this museum is all about. That's what this channel is all about, guys. It's the memories. It's the emotions that power these toys and power our thoughts about these beautiful action figures. When you're having that bad day and you can pick one of your favorite figures out of your collection from your memory in your head, if you're at work, wherever you're at, and you can think about that figure. Imagine just for me, the joy of knowing that I have that figure in my collection just makes everything a little bit better. This Captain Kirk, green shirt Captain Kirk, really needs no introduction because, I mean, he was, any collector, Mego collector, that's collecting the new Mego figures now will tell you that this green shirt Captain Kirk will go down in history as driving people out of their minds, driving people to insanity, making them extremely sad, making them extremely happy. This green shirt Kirk drew all of those emotions from a lot of collectors. He was one of the most difficult figures in the new Mego era to find, especially in the wild. And on a trip to, and you can watch this video. I have a video of this one. If you don't believe me, guys, I got videos on everything. A trip to Target, I found 2 of these guys in the wild. Never found them before. Have never found them again. I only found 2, and they were together. And I purchased both of them. This is one of the brothers. The other brothers is sitting somewhere with the rest of my green shirt Kirks. But the pure joy of finding this figure in the wild. Only a Mego figure will, you know what? Only any collector can tell you those raw emotions that just flood them and just overpower them at that moment. To find this, finally, to find this figure. Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how happy I was. Guys, have you ever felt that way? We want to hear all of that. Your thoughts, your emotions, everything. Leave it right underneath this video in a comment section. Guys, and last but not least, this was a figure because I was so big into G.I. Joe in the mid to late 1990s. I would never buy much of anything else if it was not a G.I. Joe. But I bought this particular Lost in Space B9 robot. And the catch to it is, this is not my original one. This is not my original one that I bought back in 1997. But I wasn't that big into it then. And I opened it up, I believe. I gave it to somebody, to a relative or to a friend's relative, to one of my friend's kids or something. And later, as years went by, I thought about this particular robot. And for me, it hit me how badly I wanted to reconnect with this figure, to find this robot again. I'm a huge fan of the show, but I was just an even bigger fan of the robots. The robot was the star of the show for me. But Trendmasters made this, and they did a fantastic job on this robot. And maybe 5, 6, 7 months ago, you can check the video out, I walked into my local toy and game exchange, and 2 of these guys were sitting on a shelf, way up on a shelf. One's box was extremely damaged, and this one's box was perfect. And I made the same mistake again. I didn't get them that day, but I went back and I said, you know what? I have to have this figure. I have to have this figure. There was so much stuff I wanted to buy, but I could not get this figure out of my mind. That feeling in the pit of my stomach, that's how you know you have to have a figure. You have to have that particular action figure, or whatever it is. And this Lost in Space robot, I had to have this in my museum collection, without question. The batteries have long since died. He's mint in box. Somebody said, well, just take him out and change the batteries. No. But knowing that I have him, as you can see, he's still tied up everything. Knowing that I have him now after all these years, since 1997, and to have him perfectly preserved here at the museum is I can't tell you the feeling of just excitement and joy that I've had. Guys, this is what collecting is all about. This is what the hobby is all about, and this is what the M.I.B. Master Toy Museum is all about. It's about the memories, the good times. Go to your collection room, guys. Find that special action figure that you can really connect it with years ago, and just look at it and feel the energy that comes off of that figure into your hands, into your heart, into your mind. That's the essence of what being a collector is all about. Guys, you know the routine. God bless. And keep collecting.